In this video, we're going to go over the benefits of split testing. Now, if you've ever purchased anything from Amazon, if you've ever clicked on a Facebook ad, or if you've ever been on Groupon at all, chances are you've already been part of what's called a split test. So let's go through and talk about those for a little bit. As a marketer, the ability to test whether or not something works is absolutely crucial. It's what will separate you out from the pack. And that's really what split testing is a way to actually separate yourself out from other marketers in your competition. Now, split testing is really all about the process of learning to speak your market's language. And if you watch a bunch of our videos or stay on our blog over at Seriously Simple Marketing, you're going to see us keep hitting that point, your market's language. Because your market speaks a completely different language than you do. And it's like going to a strange land where you don't know anything, can't read anything, and you can't understand what anyone's talking about, and you have to try to figure out how to communicate with them. That's kind of what it's like for online marketers. And when you do split testing, you can basically speed that whole process up, where you can actually learn faster how to speak your market's language. Now, it's not as complicated as it can sound, right? So I might explain it a little more complicated than it needs to be, but here's the thing. It starts with a simple installation of tracking code on pages, right? So you take a split testing software, something like Visual Website Optimizer, you install tracking code on your pages. It's going to load up multiple versions of your page. So let's take an example of this. If you happen to have a sales page and you have 3 different headlines, right? You're not sure which headline is going to work better. You can try all 3. You just want to split test them. So what will happen is you'll use software like Visual Website Optimizer. It will go through, and every time somebody hits a particular sales page, they go to your sales page. You just advertise to go to the one page, but it will automatically rotate the headlines through. So you can split test to see if which headline basically is getting the result that you want. And that's how it works. It's a pretty simple process. There are 2 common types of split testing, at least the most common types here. The first is what they call A/B testing. And that is essentially what I just described. Like a headline test would be an A/B test, because we're just testing that one particular element. So you could do an A/B test for headlines. You could do an A/B test maybe if you're testing a VSL or video sales letter versus long form copy. That's one thing that you're testing. Or you could test even different images. People test that all the time. You could test your CTA, the call to action that's actually on your button. So what I mean by that is you could test a button that says add to cart versus a button that looks the same but says order now. Here's an example of A/B test. So you've got here with this example on this website here, you've got 2 little things up in the upper right hand corner of each site, and we'll kind of magnify this out a little bit, where you've got shop new face, right? That's the control. And then the variation, the treatment, says free shipping over $75. So you can see, this is an example we actually took from Visual Website Optimizer's website. They've got a lot of great case studies there. You can see that in this example, adding free shipping over $75, right, which is just a simple A/B test, you can see it led to a 90% increase in orders. Now, the second type of test is what they call multivariate testing. So what this basically means is when you're rotating multiple elements out all at the same time. So as an example, instead of just rotating out different headlines, you might have 2 different headlines or 3 different headlines that you want to test, and maybe you've got 4 different images that you want to test, and maybe you've got 3 different types of buttons that you want to test. And what multivariant testing does is it figures out all the possible combinations that all those different elements can do, and maybe that's 37 different styles of page, right? 37 different variations, and it will rotate through all 37 of those until it finds the absolute perfect combination. Now, this sounds good, but with multivariant testing, you need an enormous amount of traffic to make something like that work. And it's going to take a while to get results because, again, you have so many variations, right? It takes a lot longer to get an actual answer. The other thing about multivariant testing is you may not really learn everything that you want to learn from that. You might find the best combination, but you're not quite sure why that's the best combination. When you use A/B testing to test a headline and find the best headline and then the best image and then the best button, you're actually learning to speak the market's language during each one of those steps. And so you get a little bit more from that particular process, at least in our opinion. So what are the benefits, right? Obviously, no more guessing. You don't have to say, well, I think this headline is what they're going to respond to. You can try. So the most important part of any test is the hypothesis. And what that basically is your guess, right? Like And when I say guess, I mean educated guess as to what's going to happen. So in a way, yes, are you guessing? I guess kind of guessing, but you're not guessing blindly. You're guessing with a purpose. You've got data behind you, and you can say, okay, here's what I think. I think a curiosity-driven headline is more likely to get my audience to click on the particular blog post and then to increase engagement on my website, right? That's a hypothesis. And then you can test for that, maybe a curiosity-driven headline versus a benefit-driven headline. And let's give you an example of that. So a curiosity-driven headline might be something like you'd find on Gawker, something that says, "Shocking, I can't believe he did this, ... Right? Pure curiosity, doesn't tell you anything. It's just, wow, what is that? Let me click on it and find out. That's kind of a curiosity type headline. A benefit-driven headline might be how he improved his gas mileage to 33 miles per hour. Now, that's improving gas mileage is kind of the benefit driven. Now, there's still a little bit of curiosity in there, but it's got benefit. And so you could test those two different styles to see which one led to more clicks and then go, okay, well, maybe my audience really responds better to curiosity, or maybe they respond better to benefit. And every market's different. So you don't know until you test. But that's why we say it really isn't guessing, because you are making an educated guess and then you learn, and then you can make better, more educated guesses a little bit later on. Another benefit, of course, is measurable results. Now, we talked earlier about how your market is kind of like visiting a foreign country where you can't read the language, you have no idea what anything means, everyone's speaking a totally, completely foreign tongue from what you've ever heard in your entire life, and you got to figure that out, right? So the measurable results help you to do that. They help you to know if you're right or not. So again, using that previous example of a curiosity-driven headline versus a benefit-driven headline, if you start to learn they respond well to curiosity, you can start speaking them more in a curiosity style and put all of your images toward curiosity, your buttons toward curiosity. You can do all of this overall tone toward curiosity, and you'll find that you'll get better results because that's closer to the language that they speak. Now, you can track the results using, again, tools like VWO. You can track the number of site visits that people are doing, so it can track the number of visits to a particular page. You can track if they just click on the page. If you have a blog post and you want to see if they're just engaging with different parts of your site, you can obviously track revenue, tracking for sales, and of course, just regular clicks on a certain element if you wanted to track that, like how many clicks on this buy button, things like that you could track. It's very easy to get started to with split testing. There are free ways to do it. You could use Google Website Optimizer, and that's a way to do it. It's part of Google Analytics. It is a little more difficult to use than some of the simpler tools, but it is free. So if you budget's a concern, you can try that out. We again use Visual Website Optimizer. It's very, very low cost and highly recommended. In fact, most of our clients also use Visual Website Optimizer, and they do a great job. So you could, of course, use something like Google Website Optimizer if budget's a concern. But if you do have a little bit of money and you're making a little bit of money with your online business and you want to invest in something which would be a little bit easier and probably a little bit faster, because if it's easier to use, you're probably more likely to use it, and go for something like Visual Website Optimizer. Because at the end of the day, the money that you're going to spend, you're going to make a lot more learning to speak that market language. So think about this. Is your website doing as well as you think it is? Is that particular copy really the best piece of copy to use? Is that really the best headline? Should you use maybe a better image? Well, all of that stuff you can find out. And for our purposes, right, we use Visual Website Optimizer. It is great. We highly recommend it. So go visit Visual Website Optimizer if you haven't already. You can actually sign up there for a free 30-day trial if you don't have an account, and you can try it out and see just how it works. In fact, they actually have an editor where you don't have to use a whole lot of code. So that goes into a whole other video we'll probably do later, but trust me, it's worth checking out. So just go over there, add the code. You just add a little bit of snippet of code, just like you do with Google Analytics, to your site, and then you're up and running. It makes it really, really easy. As always, if you have any questions about anything that we covered in this video, you can visit us over at SeriouslySimpleMarketing.com. Leave a comment. We'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can. Thanks again for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.